Hello viewers and welcome to this special edition of Ladies Lounge. Today we have amazing ladies from Zimbabwe. This is Zimbabwe special and I've got my sisters with me and we're going to be discussing some amazing topics that I'm sure you guys would love to get involved. Make sure you tweet us and just get involved in the discussion. The details are on your screen right now. Before we get into the discussion, we're just going to do a quick introduction so you guys get to know us, obviously, because that's the right thing to do. My name is Sandra. I'm a teacher and a makeup artist. These are my sisters, so they're going to introduce themselves.
Hey guys, my name is Akile Kanye, but people call me Miss Classic. I'm the founder and director of Classic Q&A magazine, so hi, that's me.
Hello everybody, I'm Tafara Celeste. I'm a banking regulatory consultant and I also sing.
Hi guys, my name is Precious and I am a businesswoman, but I also do law. So I'm a clinical trials contracts manager. So I'm training to be a barrister right now. I should finish this May, God's grace. But what I do in the meantime, I work in-house. So I advise a university that conducts clinical research and trials.
Wow.
So for example, we do trials in Africa, in Asia, in the UK, trying to find treatments for HIV, cancer, etc.
Wow.
And my job is to ensure that they're conducted safely. So when we have to buy drugs, I would write the contracts for that. When we have to do, for example, collaborations, I do the contracts for that. And sometimes as well, we create new intellectual property. So again, it's just advising on that, data protection, that kind of thing. So I do enjoy it. It's a challenge, but it's interesting.
Oh, so tell us a bit about your magazine. I love anything to do with magazines,
Yes.
so I was so excited when you said about the magazine.
It's one of the latest magazines you can ever read.
Oh,
So basically about my magazine, I feature amazing people, inspirational people, motivational people from like different communities. So I do like an interview Q&A with them and we get to know about them and how they got to where they are. You know, get to know about the amazing things that they do. So
Sounds good.
Like, can I be in your magazine?
You've been in my magazine before, Sandra. You've had the children a chance.
That got shut down.
She was like, no.
I mean, giving the kids a chance now.
Right. Wow.
Nice.
That's amazing. So we're not just beauty, we're also brains. So
Exactly.
of amazing
Amen.
things.
Yes.
Amen.
Just putting it back to you, Sandra. I know,
She was asking
let's
everybody
shine the
questions.
spotlight
Yeah.
to
Go
you.
on, Sandra.
She's actually
I'll get away.
amazing. She's amazing. She is honestly amazing. Not just a makeup artist, but
She's a
you're
dope
studying
makeup
as well.
Yes, I am studying. I've gone back to uni to do my master's in educational psychology.
Go on.
So, yep, I'm studying, obviously, a makeup artist, and my sort of 9 to 5 is teaching.
What age group?
I teach 16 to 19-year-olds. So
Amazing. That's a
college.
challenge.
They're interesting.
Yeah.
That's just a bit about me.
So you're adding value to society,
Yeah,
giving
yes,
back.
yes,
That's
giving back,
powerful.
adding
Very
value to
powerful.
society.
How do you
So-
discipline your kids? Sorry, just as us.
How do I just, you know what? Like when,
16 to 19-year-olds.
they're actually not as bad as
Mhm.
people think they are. Like,
Yeah.
I think because they've reached that age where you can really talk to them on a level. And
Like on an
and
adult
just be
level.
like, listen, just behave yourself. Or just sort
Pattern
yourself
up.
out. Like,
Yes.
you don't
Yes.
have to do certain things or you don't have to do this.
Just
You
to
don't- yeah, you
push them
you
that
don't
extra.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got their own challenges that they go through. So you just kind of have to, you know.
Pattern them up still.
Yeah.
Pattern,
Pattern them up.
yes.
So I was on Instagram the other day.
Girl, I found an
I
interesting
sent
post.
you that post. Go on.
Let me tell you. So according to a recent post on Instagram,
Mhm.
money is the reason for breakup in most marriages.
Ooh.
Do you guys agree?
Ooh.
So my question to you guys is it possible to have a successful relationship without money?
No.
No. Sorry.
Why did we just go straight to no?
No. I think there's a saying, money makes the world go around. And I wouldn't say that's entirely true, but money does make the world go around. Money is a form of commodity and you need money, to get here. I had to go on transport, I had to pay money for that.
Mhm.
So I think, I'm not married, but for any relationship to work, be it marriage, be it friendships, whatever it is, you need money. How do you pay bills? You know, like if you've got children, to get them into education, you know, from university onwards, that's money. You know, if you need to go on holidays, that's money. And again, if you know, it's not to say you need a lot of money, but I can imagine, you know, where there's a lack of money, that will get you into trouble. Say, for example, you're doing 8 to 8, Monday to Friday. When do you guys get a chance to rest? So because you have no money, you don't have any way of having like downtime or going away, or like even Valentine's Day is around the corner.
Exactly.
You know, he hasn't bought you a gift. There's no money. That's an argument.
That's
Exactly.
Like, what do you mean? You haven't bought me flowers?
So do you guys
You haven't even planned anything.
My teddy bear.
So do you guys believe that broke people have no reason in dating? Like,
Like,
have no
yes.
business
So
at all.
if you're broke, you've got no money. Why
Then-
are you taking someone else to become broke with you? And what are you gonna do for me? You don't have money, so what are we gonna do?
So like if a guy asks you out on a date, okay, fine, he's all good, set, and then you get to the end of the meal and he's forgotten his card at home.
Sis, what?
No.
I forgot my card at home, baby.
I forgot mine as well.
What are we doing?
These days you have Apple Pay.
Yes.
Bring out your
PayPal.
phone.
I'm sure they'll even
Ping it.
PayPal in the restaurant.
Ping it.
Or ping it. It's fine. You forgot your card. You can ping.
Yes.
Call a
the
friend.
money.
Call a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yes.
I've actually heard of a story of someone having to call their friend to actually send them money to actually sort out the bill because
Did you sort it out still?
it got sorted, but yeah.
See, that's
that-
embarrassing.
on a date.
I mean, I think, you know, if you were taken out on a date as a girl and the guy did say, I don't have money to pay for today, I would end up paying for the both of us and not, you know, 40K plus a year.
Yeah.
You need to have this car. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, can you look after yourself?
Exactly.
Can you pay your bills? Like, you know, all of us here, we have jobs. We can look after ourselves. I have my own money. We all have our own money. So I
Exactly.
don't want your money. That's not it. It's not about his money and, or, you know, he must have money. That's not it. But I think it's about, you know, are you able to look after yourself? And if as a guy, you ask a lady out, you should be able to pay for the date, especially the first few dates. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah.
And I think once we're at the stage
But why?
of, you know,
Why
we
should
really
he pay for everything or for those first few days?
because I think at that stage for me it's about he has, you know, taken an interest in
Being
you.
a man.
You know, he's you know, he's trying to
Definitely.
chase you. You know, yes, the both of you there's a mutual interest, but I do think, you know, for me I'm traditional. The guy does the chasing, you know, in that initial stage, and then once we establish this interest is going somewhere, then yes, I would expect to pay. I think from like the third date onwards. It's not a rule, but I, you know, generally I would. If you make me pay on a first date, I will. But if I do,
We'll see each other.
Yeah. So bringing us back to marriage,
Yes.
which is literally the main
yeah.
thing for this question. What would you do if, for example, your husband stopped working and you're now the main breadwinner?
Well,
And
I hold my man down still.
Yeah.
you hold your man
you
down.
do. You have to.
you
And I
have
think
to.
I also think
Ride or
But
she's
I
like,
also-
till brokenness do us part.
Basically.
I also think though, like before you enter into a marriage, you should yourself know how to manage your finances. And at the end of the day, there's always one person that's going to be better than the other. So if that should occur, you've got a rainy day fund. You must do. So yes, you like I will hold my man up, but we've also got that little extra bit on the side
Yeah.
So
to keep
do
us
you
going.
think that, you know, it's not going to cause any problems, that
No, it
it's
won't.
now you that's actually bringing in this money and he's...
I don't know if this is true, but I've heard some people say the level of respect changes.
Right?
That's true. I've heard that
I
as well.
disagree. I think if you're married, like marriage is a real commitment. It's not just about the ring or the fancy, like the party. It's actually the person. Like you're coming together with that person. You've chosen to be with that person, and it goes deeper than just like, yeah, we're married. You know, there's going through them through sickness. Every single thing that they go through, you go through. So,
But don't you think it does something for a man's ego when, you know, you were able to, for example, on your own income as a guy, look after bills, take care of the wife and the children.
Yeah.
And then say, for example, you lose your job or the business fails and now she brings in the money. Now you may still love each other the same, that doesn't change, but as a man, I think sometimes that does do something to them where you're unable to provide. And that could be, say, for example, you're unwell, and so it's like you don't have a choice not to work. But that could also be you've lost your job, and you can't provide for your family. I think that does things to them. And then I think sometimes as well, even as a girl, as much as you love him, respect him, they may start to say, for example, not despise, but it's like you're getting up, going to work every single day, and say if he's not putting his weight in the house, I'm not talking financially.
What I want to say here then is, if he's not pulling his weight, as in I'm going to work. I'm not coming home and he's made me a meal. I'm not coming home and he's told me, well, okay, so today I tried to speak to this agency or that agency. Then what's going on, mate?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
But you just said you're gonna hold your man down.
But that's only.
Gonna ride or die.
With conditions.
I have to see
Like,
you
if
trying, though. I have to see you trying. Like, when I'm from work, I have to see I made something like an improvement,
Exactly.
Let me see you going through some websites, try to find a job or something. Write
Calling out
proposals,
agencies.
do something.
Yeah. I think
Don't
for
get
me
used
as
to
well,
it.
it's like if he's not lazy, that would be okay. I wouldn't marry you if you're lazy.
But how
God
do you,
willing.
what if while you're dating, he's not portraying himself to be a lazy
Oh, you can
man,
tell, honey. You can tell. You can tell.
That's what I mean. This, like, say for example, you found yourself in a position where you had lost money in the house.
Yeah.
You're down to one income, and then his response is, oh well, like you've got a job, it's gonna pay enough for the bills, etc. I do think personally that's when issues start to come into the marriage, because it's like, listen, it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
Like, I bring in, you bring in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, basically, guys, just pattern up, okay? Pattern up. Get a job or something. Get a job.
The husbands only?
I mean, everybody gotta get a job.
Yes.
Everybody
Make
gotta
sure
get a
you've got
job.
that
You
rainy
get a
day
job.
fund,
You get
yes.
a job. Everybody gets a job.
We all have to, put in work.
Put in our
Yes.
Put in the way.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you enjoyed our first segment. Some really interesting points came out there. Continuing with that, I was just thinking about something I heard on the news the other day.
What you had on the news?
They're talking about raising kids in the UK and how it seems there's a huge percentage of black on black stabbings. And the question that came out of that was, do we think that maybe the African migrants, second generation African migrants, have kind of lost their handle and are not really instilling the values that they've been taught as they've grown up? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, see, it's a really difficult one, because a lot of what we've seen a lot in the African community especially is that parents are always at work.
Yeah,
like
true.
they will work day shift,
Yes.
and then they'll probably come home, bath, and go for a night shift. While they're doing all of that, their children are just at home, and they'll just be like, there's rice in the fridge, there's blah blah blah, just take food out and microwave and eat. So they're not actually parenting their children. And because they're not doing that, someone else is parenting their child. And that person is usually someone on the street. And then they'll end up getting involved with the wrong people.
Exactly.
And then that will lead to these stabbings.
These stabbings
because
that we're
parents
having.
don't know what their children are doing.
So do you think there's an element of neglect on the parents' part? Are we blaming the parents here? Are we saying there's two sides to it?
We're not really
I don't
blaming
think
the
it's
parents.
blame, yes. I don't think it's blame per se, but I think we need to do better in the African community, African household.
Yeah.
And I think, I haven't grown up in a house where there was abuse, etc., or anything like that. But I do think, just from my experience, we concentrate more on you've got food, you've got clothing, you've got an education, there's a roof over your head, but we don't care for the emotional well-being of children, spiritual well-being of children, and things like how is school currently, are you seeing someone, are you dating someone, and going even away from just going into the culture, like the knife culture, there's gangs, there's youth violence, there's rape, etc. And sometimes those kind of things could be prevented from things like what's happening at school, have you met someone strange, but we're not having those conversations because parents are at work, or again because of the African household, you don't talk to children.
Exactly. So I mean, do you think they've become soft, or they're neglecting? I mean, I think it sounds to me like maybe we're saying they're neglecting their role as a parent in certain areas specifically, and letting other people from sort of outsiders take on that role and shape and form our children. Is that what we're saying?
That's really a hard one, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, they're the parents, they're the providers of the household. They have to go. They have to get the work done. They have to find jobs. They have to feed the family. So, but then at the same time, they need to have some attention on their children.
I was gonna say, yes, definitely, you have to go to work. You cannot work. We need to pay bills and all of that stuff. But the problem is they're not taking time to just sit down with their child. How are you? How's things at school? Who are your friends?
True.
Yes.
Those kind of are your, most parents don't even know who their friends are. You just say, "Mom, I'm going out." Okay, go. Or sometimes some children don't even need to tell their mom that they're going out. I'm out. You've gone to night shift at 6 o'clock. If my friend calls me at 8 o'clock, come out. I'm 13. What am I doing outside at 8, 9 o'clock at 13 years old?
Exactly.
Your mom's at work, she doesn't know, but because you're spending so much time, trying to make money and less time on your child, they start getting influenced by all these people.
Do you think maybe parents are too trusting of their children then, maybe because your parents would maybe expect you, because back home you wouldn't go, I mean, I was born in Zimbabwe, and I lived there. So
you wouldn't dare go
down.
And your neighbors would see you and tell your parents, and then you'd be so scared of the kind of stories that would come out.
And the gate, even more, the gate is locked. The gate is locked, so the gate is not about you. How are you getting over the gate? How are you getting inside? So, okay.
I do also think that sometimes as well, what creates an issue and aids, in the rise of crime currently, is that I think sometimes, in African households, there's a lack of appreciation of how children grow up in the UK. And it's very, very different to how we grew up in Zimbabwe. I mean, I came to the UK when I was 12 years old, but, just even things from how my mum used to dress us. I love because we got bullied to school.
When you were like my
trainers and socks and a long dress, 3/4, long sleeved, and you're in high school and children make fun of you, and so I think sometimes parents don't appreciate that, as a young person in this country, there's a lot of pressure on children, and there's certain things you may not have, growing up, you don't get pocket money in African households generally, from my experience, and white people get pocket money, and so you've got a black child has no money to buy lunch, say for example, or let's say after school you can't get stuff for yourself and your friends are, and a friend, 25-year-old male, grooms you, you can make an extra £15, £25, £30. Of course you're gonna do that, do you know what I mean? So I think that sometimes lack of appreciation of how children are growing up today does mean that young people, especially young black boys, turn to gang crime because they're looking for identity, they're looking for money, they're not trying to get into crime, they're not they're not bad children, but it's just maybe the circumstances in their house and
they're
just
looking
that
for attention,
definitely.
as well.
And belonging. Belonging.
Because these sort of gang leaders or whatever they're called, they
take them on.
How are you? How's everything? What do you need?
They give them the attention that
If anyone does anything to you, all of that kind of stuff. So we're saying then that parents should maybe take that step, that additional step, and look at, okay, my son's got a new pair of trainers. Where's he got those from?
Where they coming from?
My daughter's got her hair done. Who did her hair? And then maybe getting that one step forward. So who's this friend that got you this? Like,
I think it's about I think it's just about us like actually actively parenting, which I think, in African households we generally don't do. We don't talk about money, we don't talk about sex, we don't talk about
what is that? What is that?
What is that? Friends.
You don't know what that is.
Exactly. Parents. So I do think it's just about parents being more active in their children's lives. I think that's definitely, one of the things that we have to do initially if we want to see this change.
You're saying African households. I'm just going to twist it a little bit and just say, turn it on their head a little bit and say, I think it's the Black community, because I'm half Caribbean and I've not been taught about sex or things like that. It's not something that we talk about, So I think it's just the Black community need to actually maybe change how we think about or approach parenting, maybe, because our young children are actually, killing each other. Really, that's what it comes down to.
I think there were 48 stabbings last year in London by like November. It's really bad.
So bad.
And currently, like the statistics I think show that for every 1,000 Black people, there'll be 38 arrests, and for every 1,000 white people, there's just 12. And Black people are 3 times more likely to get arrested.
Exactly.
And so I think, knowing this as a community, we definitely have to do better. And even things like, dads not being around, that's more common in Black
as well, like
Black community. Which or dads are around, but not really involved, being a role model for the children. And I think sometimes, with the boy as he's growing up, it's like, well, why am I going to respect you? You're not even home, you don't pay bills, you don't pay bills. You are here sometimes, not here the other times. Like, do you know what I mean? And then they start to look at their friends outside of the house, gangs, etc., to try and get that from what they're missing in the household.
So what are our final? Go ahead.
I was going to say, what do you guys think about this type of music that our youngsters are listening to? Grime and
grime,
gangster music. Because in my house, when I was growing up, we used to listen to gospel, yo.
No, I don't necessarily think grime is to blame, to be honest, because it's music is an art form, like I sing, and it's a way of expressing yourself. So whether you rap, whatever you rap about, grime doesn't make someone pick up a knife and go stab someone. You can never say that.
But I'm trying to say, like, the messages from the song.
I think the thing is that trying to, you're expressing your reality, so they're just expressing what's on their mind, what they're going through, and that's what the music tends to be.
Exactly.
But even with that, a lot of they're looking for ways to express themselves. There's not enough for them to do. So generally, they will join gangs, they'll do, there's not enough for them to do. And I think that's, again, something as parents we have to look at. We wouldn't normally get our children to do extracurricular activities. Do you know what I mean?
To cut you off. So what are we saying here? Are we saying our parents have been too soft, or are they're doing a good job, or need to kind of get with the 2020s?
I think it's understanding the kind of community and environment we live in, and also things like you can't really discipline your children the way you would in Zimbabwe.
Physical punishment,
Even physical punishment can punish you.
Do you know what I mean? When I came over here and I heard the children in school telling the teachers to shut up and all sorts, I was like, what? No way! I couldn't believe it. Yes. Like, I was, the teachers used to say to our parents, my sister and I were the best behaved, most well-behaved students, because in Zimbabwe you come from a place where
you respect
adults and you appreciate education. But anyway, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching us today. We've had a lovely time. We hope you have enjoyed the session. The ladies have all shared their amazing views. From Sandra Precious,
Tequila.
Precious, Safara. We're saying bye.
Bye.